As we think about the platform of the future, it immediately causes you to ask the question, what would you do, what do you do, what do you want to do in an application that was built first with the cloud in mind instead of just maybe a corporate environment? And it takes you pretty quickly to the notion of what is now being called the social graph. Who's friends with who knows who. You know, today you can think about that as an application in the context of a MySpace or a Facebook. But the truth of the matter is, it's actually a powerful concept that you'd like to let people program around. People who know each other at work, people who know each other personally, and you'd like to be able to connect the dots on that. Hey, I really want to know who the experts are in my company in a given field. Is that a service that's available, or is that kind of something that every application writer has to go create themselves? The amount of this information that's implicit in the internet, that's implicit in Active Directory, that's implicit in Outlook is really large. But this needs to be platformatized and really built into, in our case, we say Windows Server and Windows in the cloud. You could have done it for the enterprise world, but it makes so much more sense when you have the whole world of people. And then, of course, the business models of the internet are going to be more varied. The business models of software plus services are going to be far more varied than the business models of the traditional enterprise software business. Some things you will do, you'll get paid through advertising. Sometimes through sales of software. Sometimes through subscriptions. And we need to work hard to give you the tools so that you don't have to build your own billing system, your own advertising system, et cetera, et cetera. So when we think about software plus services and this fundamental transformation, there's a whole lot of software, even at the platform and the infrastructure level, that we think needs to get built. In our own case, we're going to try to do these things in a way that I would refer to as very symmetric with what we do in our server product line. So as we advance Windows in the cloud, we need to bring those things back to Windows Server. As we advance Windows Server, we need to bring them into the cloud. You should be able to write an application and almost always run it both places. Same thing as we talk about identity in the social graph. How do we make Active Directory and Live ID support each other in the world of the internet and the world of the corporation? How do we let you write a big database application? Database needs to be part of the cloud platform. SharePoint. SharePoint's one of our red-hot products. People are finding amazing new ways to write SharePoint applications. We want that to be able to be in the cloud in a way where one person's SharePoint application doesn't necessarily stomp on another, but where it's part of this platform of software plus services. Rich user experiences. We've started to move down this direction primarily with Silverlight and the Windows Presentation Foundation. We're bringing .NET and rich presentation to the browser environment through Silverlight. There are some things you can do in the browser. There's some things you still can't do in the browser, and you want to take advantage of all of the capabilities of Windows. And Windows Presentation Foundation brings additional capabilities to these rich user interfaces. Expression rounds out that story as a set of design tools that complement Visual Studio as a set of development tools. And there's still work to do. We're going to keep driving this strategy to bring the browser and the rest of the operating system closer and closer together from a programming perspective so that you can write an app for the browser but then extend it seamlessly to take full advantage and be as rich as a full Windows application. One other trend I want to talk about, and maybe in this case primarily from a Microsoft standpoint, is the trend towards standards and interoperability. We as a software company will continue to do our own proprietary innovative development. But I think the thing that we have really embraced and recognized in the last couple of years is the importance of also doing a good job on interop and standards. You see that in the standards organizations that we've joined. We put out a set of principles for interoperability about 6 months ago that really focuses in on open connections at the protocol level with other people's work, data portability and file format openness, as evidenced through some of the work we've done around OpenXML and ISO standardization. Support for standards. How many people here have downloaded the IE8 beta? IE8, anybody using the beta? People who, I am. People who are using the IE8 beta, we've embraced kind of web standards, if you will, in IE8. Now, a lot of sites were designed for IE7, so we still have a compatibility button, but we're really working hard to find that correct line, if you will, between our own proprietary innovation and yet doing a fantastic job when it comes to interoperability and standards. Let me turn. I want to talk about 2 or 3 things in the short term that I think are on your minds and are on my minds. This does not have to do directly with software plus services, although some of the same technologies are involved. These are just things that are kind of hot, and I'd feel bad if I came to Oslo, had 1,100 of you in a room, and I didn't try to get you pumped up about something. So I'll start with what we're doing in virtualization. I'm extremely excited about our Hyper-V hypervisor and the work we've done in our System Center Virtual Machine Manager for virtualization. Yes, there are good products in the market today, but they tend to be, like VMware, but they tend to be expensive, and they have their own management approach, which is separate from everything else that goes on in the management of servers of any kind. So with our virtualization stack, we came in and said, look, less than 5% of the world's servers today are virtualized. And yet I'll bet almost everybody in this room can imagine a case where you'd say, every server I have should be virtualized. So we need to make sure we come up with a strategy that democratizes virtualization. It makes it easy enough to use and cheap enough to use that literally every server can be virtualized. And that's what we've really done with Hyper-V and System Center. We're not only managing our own virtual machines, we give you the tools to also manage ESX, VMware's virtual machines, because we know we're going to find that in a lot of data center environments. There's virtualization we're doing at the hardware level, but there's also virtualization that we're doing at the application level through our so-called Microsoft Desktop Optimization Kit, and at the presentation level through our terminal services offering. And we have a consistent way of doing virtualization and the management of that across everything going. We think that when you take a look at it, you'll find that the cost of virtualizing a server is less than 1/3 all in, and you get tools that are more integrated than what you'd find today in the market. So this virtualization thing is a red hot thing in the market. People are using it in amazing and important and interesting ways. And I think if you take a look at what we've done with Hyper-V and our own virtualization management software, some of you are going to find great value in that.